Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. We're sorry for the delay. Or the folks who are in Ukraine, their technology is also working. It's the microphone in New York that was letting us down. But it is all things to be working now. So I will go ahead and introduce our speakers. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. Most of you are from my class, so you didn't have a choice to be here. Thank you to the people who have decided to join us from outside the class. Tonight we're going to be listening to Ukrainian activists and volunteers sharing their wartime experiences, and I really want to welcome Lyudmila and Maryna. I'm just going to speak super briefly to introduce myself for those of you who don't know who I am, and then I'm going to hand over to them. So I'm Emma Mateo. I'm the Petro Yatsik postdoctoral fellow in Ukrainian studies here at the Harriman Institute. And this event is inspired by our class on Ukrainian activism and protest. This semester, we've been learning about Ukraine's history of activism and mobilization. And I really wanted to give this class an opportunity to speak with some volunteers and activists who are doing really important work in Ukraine today. So we decided to open up the class so that more people can engage in this conversation, not only folks from the class. So research by a number of groups, particularly Olga Ornak and the team at the Mobilize Project, has showed that a very high percentage of Ukraine's population is engaged in some form of volunteering or activism or donating and related to the war effort, as high as 80%. Not all of these people are engaged to the extent that our speakers today are, but Ukrainian volunteering activism nonetheless remains a really crucial part of Ukrainian resistance to the Russian invasion. And in particular, a lot of people have mobilized for the first time, but we also have a lot of groups and individuals who have been active prior to 2022 and have seen their work either significantly transformed or having to scale up and respond to Russia's full-scale invasion. So we're going to hear firsthand from Ukrainians who have been engaged in these efforts on the ground. And I'm so grateful to you both for joining us, because I know it's really late where you are. And we really appreciate you joining us to share your valuable insights. And I recognize that you're both doing important work, so I'm grateful for you taking the time to speak with us, or taking the time away from your sleep to speak with us. So I'll introduce you both, and then I will get started with letting you speak. So Lyudmila Cherkez is a volunteer and head of communication at the TAPS Ukraine Charitable Foundation. This foundation has been working with military loss since 2018 and is based in Dnipro, Ukraine. As some of you probably know, Dnipro is located only 100 kilometers from the front line. And TAPS Ukraine unites more than 1,500 family members of the families of fallen heroes of the war, providing a variety of assistance, humanitarian, medical, dental, psychological, and it creates a community of families who understand each other. Every month, TAPS Ukraine organizes dozens of events for families of fallen heroes, and they hold recreational camps in the Ukrainian Carpathian Mountains. TAPS attracts a large amount of funding from international partners, and I actually met Lyudmila in Dnipro this summer because TAPS Ukraine is involved in the setting up and coordination of a big hub of volunteer organizations in the city of Dnipro, which is also very interesting, a super impressive project, and I'm sure she'll talk about that as well. Sorry, that got a little bit garbled.
Good evening. That got a little bit garbled. Is it okay? Do you hear me? Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Did you say something before we move on? The sound went weird.
I say hi to everyone. I'm Lyudmila. I'm the head of communication of the TAPS Ukraine. We're working with the military loss, as said Emma, and we have a lot of work with the military and the families of the fallen heroes. So, what about your question? I don't hear you. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was just giving the introduction.
Yeah.
I'll introduce Maryna, and then I'll ask a question.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Connection went strange for a moment.
Yeah.
So we also have Maryna Slobodyanuk, who is head of Analytical Department at Truth Hounds, which is a very different but also very important organization. So Maryna joined Truth Hounds in 2018, and she's an active member of Field Missions, and she leads the investigation of war times at Truth Hounds, and is also responsible for sharing Truth Hounds expertise amongst official investigators who are gathering data about war crimes in Ukraine. The Investigation Department of Truth Hounds has filed more than 50 submissions to the Ukrainian law enforcement agencies and prepared 3 submissions jointly with European partners to their general prosecutors' offices in Switzerland and Germany. And Maryna has conducted a lot of training sessions on methodology of investigations and OSTINT for prosecutors and representatives of other investigative bodies. So I'll begin by asking each of you to speak for around 5 minutes. If you could just kind of summarize your organization and the work that you do, and then after that, I'll ask you some more questions. So let's go ahead and start with you, Lyudmila.
Okay, we are working with a military loose, and we're working with 1,500 people for the families of the fallen heroes. We implement some projects for them. It's all about psychological, humanitarian, and a lot of dental projects. We try to give them some help and try to connect them with each other for the loose and for a lot of problems they have nowadays. So since 2018, we working with the military loose, and from the 2022 in Ukraine, we provide a lot of help for the military, a lot of help for the refugees, and a lot of stuff we provide to our military. I'm sorry. So Dnipro mobilized all their forces and resources to stop the enemy, and we provide, during the time we bought and transferred tens of thousands of the electronics and hundreds of drones, hundreds of the cars and the ambulances. And our volunteers, we have 1,600 volunteers around our mission and our vision. We based in Dnipro, the big city. We have 1 million of the people in the city living. So among our partners, we have large NGOs like TAPS USA, TAPS International, Direct Relief, the biggest NGOs in the US. And we have our partners like corporation, like Boeing, like Nosphere, and others. So currently we're back to the work with the families of the fallen heroes. We implement projects with all categories, with the wives, with the kids, with the parents, brothers and sisters, and we provide psychological, dental, and humanitarian assistance. We have a lot of projects and a lot of volunteers who work with our organization.
Great, thank you. So thank you so much, Lyudmila. That's a really great introduction to what you do. Maryna, could you share with us now a little bit about your work with Truth Hounds and the projects that you're involved in right now?
Yeah, sure. I hope you all hear me well now. So, that's great. So you did a pretty good job on introduction, me and our organizations, but I would like to add some words. And of course, 5 minutes is always not enough to describe everything and give you and deliver you the core activities that we now maintain in Ukraine. But I know I'm still in my own time. So there are, I think, 6 main directions that our organization, the Truth Hounds, which has been established in 2014, well, which we mark the year of the beginning of the Russian-Ukrainian war, actually. So from that time, what we mainly do? Well, first, and the very core of our activities is documenting war crimes. So we conduct field missions to the sites where the alleged war crimes have been committed and interview the witnesses, the survivors, trying to get the first-hand data of what has happened at these sites and make some photos and video footages, collected some other material evidences or the materials that can be recognized as evidences in some further criminal proceedings. So this is very important because sometimes the eyewitnesses and survivors are the only source of information that can be gathered on the incidents that amounts to war crimes, allegedly. And what we also do is monitoring on the daily basis all of the incidents that appear in media, for instance, just to get the fullest score of the incident that also will have signs of the alleged war crimes or can be further investigated as those. But at least we have the full list of all these incidents by monitoring on a daily basis. The open sources, which could be, I don't know, YouTube videos, Telegram posts, satellite imageries, media publication, and so on and so on. So we accurately collect and store these information in our monitoring database, and by the current moment we have recorded over 6,400 such incidents, which is also a good, well, a reminder and picture of the fact that the alleged war crimes are being conducted in Ukraine on a daily basis. Pity enough. And also the investigation, my favorite, because I'm the head of the investigation department in Truth Hounds. So what we do and what is the main target of our investigation work is to track and verify the alleged perpetrators of war crimes. So basically our investigation thread contains, first of all, eyewitness and victim evidence, also some open data, and the OSINT, which is open source intelligence. So we use different tools. Well, first of all, of course, we work with our raw materials collected from field missions, corroborating them and puzzling up the most full possible picture of the alleged war crime committed. And also then we turn to some open sources data and searching and using different tools of of internet search, of facial and audio programs recognition, satellite images are also of a great help for us. Some Telegram bots which can withdraw information from the database which has been leaked to the network, to internet. And we also use some open data, huge list of, for instance, armed force and the units of armed force that are involved in war in Ukraine. So at the end of the day, at the end of this investigation, we get the fully analyzed incident that amounts to war crime, and the alleged military units and perpetrators of this incident. And also we do a very good legal assessment of why this incident can be recognized as the war crime under Ukrainian law and of course under the international humanitarian law. We also cooperate very tight and for a long while, I would say, with Ukrainian and international investigative bodies and agencies, just to support their capacities and to help the investigation on different levels and push it to its logical logical ending, which is verdict for war criminals. And last but not least, so we do maintain different trainings and stuff like that to different actors that are involved into the documented investigating war crimes in Ukraine now, starting from the NGOs and journalists and ending up with Ukrainian prosecutors, the investigators, and judges. So this is pretty much what we do, and yes, I'm also happy to be here, and thank you for having me today.
Thank you very much, both of you. I'm interested now in your personal kind of motivations and the way that you became involved in this work. So this semester we have been exploring some of the things that motivate people to take part in civil society, whether that's in terms of protest or volunteering. So would you mind to share a little bit about how you personally became involved in this work and what motivated you to do this? If you'd be happy to start, please, Lyudmila.
Okay. My volunteer journey began maybe in 2014. When the war starts, I helped to do military in my native city Mariupol, and on 24th of February, I thought that maybe the main direction where I can help is communication and helping to the volunteer center to bring my help for the right direction and to bring my skills maybe to some good stuff. So I just call my friends who was volunteers, and we just come to the biggest place where was a lot of volunteers, and from the first time and from the to maybe April, I just thought about my house, about my house in Mariupol, about my parents who was there, and so my motivation was so biggest like now, because my city also occupied now, and I want to get this freedom to my native land and freedom for Ukraine. So it's biggest motivation, I think, for me, and maybe it's like a big joy to be with my friends, with my colleagues in the volunteers way, in the volunteers journey. So I don't know how to explain it, but it's like a joy of the helping to the people who need it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So you started volunteering with this organization, with TAPS, after the full-scale invasion, when you came to Dnipro, and then you came to the big volunteer center in Dnipro, and then you got involved from there. In the 2014, I helped only some requests for the military from my friends who was the military, and in 2022, I just started to help in this center, and its way become to nowadays, you know. Yeah, now it's taken over your life, I think.
Like this.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Lyudmila. Maryna, what about you? How did you get involved with Truth Hounds?
I think that what Lyudmila has just said is a pretty much common situation and story for many activists and human rights defenders in Ukraine, when the Maidan and Revolution of Dignity changed many ways and many lives in Ukraine. So I used to work as a corporate lawyer in some financial company till 2014. Then I participated in the revolution, and it also changed my attitude to work and approach to my life. So I really wanted to contribute to something that can bring peace and justice to Ukraine. But in 2015, I became a mother of the cutest girl in the world. But at the same time, I had no possibility to go to the armed force or doing things like that. And of course, well, like Lyudmila, I could go volunteering, but I wanted to be involved and find something from some legal point of view where I can contribute in the most efficient way. So then I found out that my friends and some good guys from the university I studied, they conducting this field mission and then collecting data of war crimes in Ukraine and cooperating also with the ICC, which is International Criminal Court at that moment, and delivering, well, first of all, they documented the war crimes, which, well, as you may remember or may know, that until the full-scale invasion, the war in Ukraine was not that visible, and little did the world know about what was happening in Ukraine. It was really crucial to collect, to document, to fix these crimes and show that we have the not only some civil war as it was depicted in Russian propaganda, but the full well, international armed conflict as it is defined by the IHL. So for me, it was very important to be the part of this work. So I joined where I, well, finally could leave my daughter for some whiles and go to field missions and dedicate myself to this work. And that's how I became the hound in Truth Hounds.
I'm hearing two kind of common things in what you both shared about how you became involved in volunteering or activism, human rights defense. And I'm wondering if you think this is something common amongst a lot of your colleagues and people in similar circumstances. You both talked about wanting to kind of use the skills that you had already to kind of make a contribution. And you also both talked about finding out about the organizations you now work with by people you already knew, like by a family, by friends and colleagues and people around you. Do you think that this is perhaps a common trait amongst people who engage in activism and volunteering in Ukraine? If you want, either of you can respond, but you can go first if you like, Lyudmila.
Okay, please go.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't sure he was talking.
So
Okay.
Maryna, you should say.
Well, we're both so eager to share our our experience. So, well, okay, I will start the answering this question very shortly. And yes, it is so because, you know, in this sphere, I mean, volunteering and activism and everything that have such an intense nature, at the same time the sensitive nature. You have to build everything on trust, and you have to be with people you fully rely on. So that is why it has happened so often when you know that some friends of you or the people you might know or that someone can recommend you are doing this kind of activities, and it is something that makes you feel additional or extra comfortable in your stressful activity and life. And that is why it is so important, well, to have your people and have this strong circle of trust and support that come from people you know, actually. Sorry.
Thank you. Do you want to add something?
Maryna, yeah, I agree with Maryna because a lot of danger every day since 2022, a lot of attacks, rocket attacks, and every day we have dangers in our city, in the city of Ukraine. It's all about a lot of stress, a lot of stuff, you know, and that's why where you have the first days was very safe to have some friends here with me, and then a lot of people became for me a family. You know, every Ukrainian is a family, so it's not a big deal to have some friends in nowadays when you have a lot of problem for our country. You know, it's all common, so we don't have choice. I think we just need to live, and one of option to live is the volunteering, activism, and or armed forces, you know. So it's our life.
And thank you very much for sharing. It sounds like for both of you, you have some positive feelings attached with your work and your volunteering in a very difficult time. But we also know that there are so many challenges in Ukraine right now. And I'm wondering if you could share what some of the biggest challenges are that your organizations are facing right now, that you're dealing with as we're coming into, you know, another winter with this war.
Maybe me, yeah. Okay, we have a lot of requests for this winter, because a lot of rocket attacks, like now I have in our city rocket alarm, I think its names. So that's why we have a lot of stuff we need. We need some stuff for not only for the families, for the armed forces. So this winter will be very, very, very bad for us, and we're waiting for the big challenges, and not only for our activism and volunteering. It's all about our life in our cities, and the cities where we have some action in the war, and so I don't know what to say. Maybe I need to bring Maryna some words. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, you don't have to. Thanks, Lyudmila. I would, if I may, I will take the floor and describe some difficulties and challenges from my professional angle, what we deal with, and it's not only related to some seasonal problems, as we all are waiting for some shutdowns and some difficulties with electricity and heating supplies and stuff like that. Of course, it is very, very well, it impacts our activities and makes it much more difficult. But I would like to say a few words about what we deal with as the human rights defenders, as documenters, and as investigators of war crimes, if I may. So for the current moment, 18% of Ukrainian territory is being occupied by Russian forces and still under occupation. So this area is absolutely closed for some research, and we have literally no access to the sites of the hypothetical war crimes commitment. So many cases of war crimes still remain unrelieved, and we have no idea when we have possibility to reveal this crime. And in particular, the city of Mariupol is one of the huge scene of the numerous of hundreds of the alleged war crimes. which well tends to have the genocidal character of these actions. So, and still we do not know exactly how many people have died there and how many how bad the destructions really are. So and of course it's not only about Mariupol, it's about Donetsk, Luhansk, and many of cities and towns of Ukraine that are still under occupation. Another challenge is of course the landmines and the fact that the Ukraine and Ukrainian territories is the most mined and landmined country in the world at the moment. So it really would take, I don't know, hundreds of years to demine these territories and to make them safe, not only for living, but also for visiting and researching, for some documenting work. And now it is also very dangerous for our documenters to visit the sites of the alleged war crimes, of the shellings, because you never know what surprises, yes, what bad surprises will you meet at the unexploded territory. So it is really a huge problem now. And also some other aspects, as for instance, but as you may know, the number of the war crimes committed in Ukraine is enormous. I mean, for the current moment, we have 120,000 of the official proceedings of open cases of war crimes that have been investigated by different empowerment bodies of Ukraine. So, and this is not the end, and this is nothing that's gonna stop at the visible future. So we have this absolutely crushed the investigative and judicial system of Ukraine, and literally these bodies have no capacities to investigate war crimes properly, to get the data in a full amount or in the amount which is appropriate to give a good result of this investigation. So that is why they desperately demand our help. I mean, not only ours, Truth Hounds, but also the other organizations that deal with documenting and investigating war crimes. And us ourselves, we are overloaded with this work, and have, like, I don't know, tens and tens of the requests from different regional prosecutor offices to help them to investigate war crimes and to supply them, to help to supply them with this kind of data. So this is something that we are literally working days and nights to accomplish this one. And of course, one more thing is that Russian-Ukrainian war is the best documented war in the history of mankind. I mean, on the one hand, it's good because we have the proofs of the crimes committed by Russians, and many of them in open sources elsewhere on the devices of the people who witnessed or who were the survivors of these crimes. But on the other hand, this huge amount also have to be structured and walked through properly, not to lose the chain of custody, for instance, and to remain and to preserve these data as admissible proofs in local and international courts. This is a tough task to accomplish as well. And also, of course, this is I think that Lyudmila will agree with me because about one thing, that all of us, I mean, all of Ukrainians, but also the activists and volunteers and human rights defenders, we are well, to some extent, we are burnt out. We really lose our capacities, our strengths and powers to go on, not only like operate and function in a common life, but also to do our work properly and with a good impact for it. So this is also something that we deal with because we don't have, like, you know, hundreds and thousands of clones of who can replace us and be as effective as we used to be. So yes, we really are kind of exhausted, but we have to go on and do what we're doing because, well, who else will do that? Yeah, this is how things go on.
Do you also see these issues with kind of burnout and tiredness becoming a challenge in your own life, Lyudmila, and your organization? Do you see a similar thing?
Yeah, maybe I have burnout 2 months ago. I think it was the hardest part of my life, I think. And your work-life balance is just over. You know, you haven't work or life, you have only work. And when you try to sleep and you have rockets attacks any night, so it's like hell on the on the earth. So a lot of community with the people, with the other people, it's tried to be very hard to us. And maybe Maryna, I just agree with Maryna, it's the biggest part of our life, but we just no have choice. Even I burn out, I just need to go to the volunteer center and do my job. So because I need the voice of our of Ukraine in the other countries, in the press, and I need to speak with the foreign people, and I need to speak with the foreign journalists. So I just haven't choice. So I burn out and I am Phoenix. I just live another life. And so it's okay. It's just my life.
Yeah, it's, you know, as the war comes up to, you know, in a couple of months, it will be 2 years. There's no vacation from the war. The war doesn't stop, and, you know, the needs of your organizations probably keep growing.
It's not about 2 years, it's all about 10 years. So
yeah, this is, yeah, of course, yeah. So this has been going on even longer, and
yeah,
I think
for the 2 years it's very hard. It's very hard to live when you have some neighbor in the other country, you know, crazy neighbor. So
yeah, and as you pointed out, it's not just the fact that you're doing a massive amount of work, but you're also doing this in a situation where you have air raid sirens going off any time of day and night, where, you know, you're not sleeping properly, where you're worried about family and friends. So there's a lot of demands on you and your colleagues right now. I am just going to ask a couple more questions, and then I'm going to open it up for people both in the room and online to ask you some questions, because I think that's really important. You talked, Maryna, about how kind of civil society and NGO initiatives, such as yours, are really important in the context of the full-scale invasion, right? So you mentioned how Truth Hounds, and there's quite a few other organizations also working in this sphere in different ways, are crucial in supporting the Ukrainian prosecutor's office and the authorities in documenting these war crimes. I'm wondering, Lyudmila, if you see, sorry, I'm trying to think about how to best formulate this question. So your organization works a lot with bereaved military families, right? And I'm wondering if you see this as a sector where volunteers and NGOs are very important in kind of supporting what the government is doing? Are there many other organizations doing the kind of work that you are doing?
Yeah, we know several organizations, but they are a little bit less than we are. They work in the regions, and maybe they work with the other categories. We working with all of the categories, with the wives, with the children, with the parents, and a lot of organizations working only with the children of the fallen heroes. A lot of organizations working only with the widows, and so we have another organization, but I think our working is the biggest is big joy to have another organization who help the families. So a lot of NGOs from the US and from the other countries help for the families of the military loss. And yeah, we have this organization, and we're working with them, and maybe one day we have a big our project. It's called TAPS Foundation. We're working with the all in the every city of Ukraine with the families, because we have right now a lot of families not only in Dnipropetrovsk region. It's all about all Ukraine. It's all about our projects we implement in the other cities, and so it's working, and I think it's good. It's working like this.
Thank you. I'm interested. A lot of things have changed and shifted and transformed in Ukraine since the start of the full-scale invasion. Russia is still waging an all-out war, but over time we have seen how Ukrainian society and organizations have adapted to the kind of different needs. What are some of the ways your activities and the work of your organizations may have changed over time since the beginning of the full-scale invasion? You can take this first, Maryna, if you like.
Okay, thank you. I would say it was, well, in terms and in frames of our organization, it was like the Big Bang situation from the full-scale invasion. Like, well, actually, we restarted documenting war crimes in the very first hours of the full-scale invasion. And, well, monitoring what was happening at that very hours, even first hours, we realized that if we don't quit, we have a job and work to do till the end of our lives. We all had the same feeling. So in this respect, we had to, well, strengthen our capacities, and we became the organization. Well, we became the 51 members organization from 9 members organization. Like, you can imagine what happened and why we did so. And now actually we have these, structural changes where we have different departments. Not only that we did everything, well, each of us did everything, documenting, then kind of investigating and stuff like that, but mostly we were concentrated on document and on field work. But after the full-scale invasion, we understood that we have to do everything in a complex manner, not only document, but also monitor on a daily basis, but also conduct, well, full investigation to help our official agencies to do so, and also to train people, to share our expertise, because by the full-scale invasion, we basically was the only and a single organization that documented war crimes in fields, and now we are like one of more than 30, I suppose, 36 NGOs who will be document and like carry out these kind of activities. So yes, we have to make the whole departments on some specific task. And also, I forgot to tell that we also store and structure our findings and all our data to the IDOC database, where we submit our documents and structure them in the very sophisticated manner. So all of it is well accurately preserved and structured in this cloud, I would say, in this database, which is also very important, but which also takes a huge amount of time, like only to submit and to file or everything we find in our missions and we do during our investigations. So yeah, there was drama changes in our activities and in what we used to be, and turned to what we are at the current moment.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a lot of expansion, and then with expansion comes the need to kind of restructure and organize and how to deal with all of this massive data that you have.
Yeah, sure. That's exactly what happened to us.
Lyudmila, I'm interested, what changes have you seen in the work of TAPS Ukraine and also perhaps in the kind of volunteer center and the activities of this, the Shtab, the HQ in Dnipro?
I think we have something like Maryna said about structure, about some requests we have with this, and we have some reformatting of the work. First of all, since 2014 or 2018, where found was organized officially, we're working with a psychologist who work with the families of the fallen heroes. Right now, we have some reformation with this. We have psychologists who helping to the families to understand how to speak with each other, to helping each other. So it's like it's not working like it works in 2014 because a lot of people try to live in the war, and so we need to have some teaching for the families to organize some work, like to help each other in their community, not like working with a psychologist only. It's the biggest work where we need to complete their picture of the world, where they need help to each other. And only this work working like this right now, only like this. So it's like a new challenge to the not only for 2022, it may be the challenge for the 2023 and 10 years forwards. So
yeah, I think the work that your organization does is incredibly interesting and incredibly important, because we know there are so many more people who are experiencing bereavement and trauma in Ukraine, and I think this approach of training people within the community to help one another and kind of sharing those skills is really interesting, and it seems like a appropriate way of responding to this big increase in need.
We have a lot of emotion from them about their community, because they call each other TAPS family. It's all about wives who was in the TAPS camp in the Ukrainian Carpathians, and they have strong community of the women who have lost military loss, and a lot of kids working with a psychologist in this camp, and it became a big joy for them to understand that they are not alone with their loss, and they have another friends who hasn't father, and who lost them in the war. So that's why.
And
Thank
I would like to add something, if I may, about some new challenges as well. We also included psychologists and psychological support to our teams because for some reasons, the first one is that because of the enormous amount of war crimes, many people, they had to go and went through the most horrible things that happened in their lives. And when they share this information with us, this re-traumatizes them. So we do need the professional approach and support in these cases, just to keep these people safe enough to be able to share their stories. And the other, important moment is that we deal also with unspeakable amount of the sexual and gender-based violations and crimes. And this is the hardest emotional, stress and situation one can imagine. And you have to be very careful with this kind of experience of trauma. Just on the one hand, you have to have these testimonies fixed and documented carefully, but on the other hand, you have to keep the no harm principle working with this kind of survivors. And this is very crucial and a very sensitive boundary between these two factors. And of course, because of this, and to deal with these situations, you have to be supported by the professional psychologists.
Mm-hmm. And it must also be challenging for the members of your team who are collecting and recording these testimonies and reviewing this social media information as well. That's also not easy to be dealing with that material every single day.
Yeah, sure. That is why we are so burnt out and also need some psychological support, which most of us do on some regular basis, but still, you cannot get used to this by no way. So, dealing with these crimes requires a solid, I would say, some trainings or some state of emotional stability and also resistance, and the ability to reflect this kind of information, not to be buried alive under this burden of horrible scenes and experiences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's impossible to get used to, but I think it wouldn't be normal for anybody to get used to these kind of things either. I'd like to open up the floor now for people in the room and also online to ask Maryna and Lyudmila any questions. So I will keep an eye on the webinar chat. So if you are joining us online, please pop a question in the webinar chat. And if you're in the room, then feel free to put your hand up. I have plenty more questions, but I would really like the people here to have a chance to speak with you. Do we have any questions from the room? Yeah, Luke, do you want to go first?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
You guys both kind of mentioned burnout and how you guys have somebody been doing this for like 10 plus years. Given like the nature of the war, it kind of obviously how's always on your mental, what is the feeling of kind of the general Ukrainian population of people you're working with? Do you feel that the people of Ukraine kind of still remain united and like want to keep fighting this war against Russia, or do you feel that as it drags on that and you are dealing with this burnout, this mental toll, that people are kind of you know, looking more towards maybe a treaty or a truce with Russia or some type of negotiation?
Well, I would say that if I understood everything correct, that of course all of us tried from this war, and well, to be honest, because you cannot like be blind to your own state of mind and emotional state, and it's very tiresome to be in the state of war. On the one hand, on the other hand, it doesn't mean that we give up in our main goal and target to win this war, because it is so damned unfair and this is something that cannot be like taken for granted or forgiven, or like nulled by some negotiations where we will have to like give up and give our territories and give our people under occupation, or meet some other inappropriate or take some appropriate steps towards stopping the shelling, for instance. So it's something we will not like give, and just stepping into the negotiation field in this very situation, in the ongoing moments, means that we really give up and don't want to fight no more, and that we agree with the impunity of the aggressor. This cannot be tolerated, and we have to show the world that we will not tolerate the aggression. We will not tolerate the sense of impunity, because we are the living example of the fact that the unpunished evil always comes back. So we have to stop this practice, you know, which have like just cut off all the possibilities to make this happening in the history. Maybe I am too pathetic, but still it is so. So I would say that yes, we are tired, we are exhausted, we are burnt out. We want to go back to our normal life as soon as possible, but this is something we cannot step aside or step back or just make it happen. We have to win, and we all want to reach this victory.
What do you think, Lyudmila? Would you like to add something in response to this question?
I agree with every word of Maryna, and I want to say that we just now have choice. We just don't need to bring this war to our kids, to our grandkids, and that's why we just need to finish it to win it, and we have another choice. So we just need to fight as we can. And as you see, our defenders can do it good. I think 3 years, 10 years.
Yes. So you keep going. I will say that I'm not quite sure exactly of the most recent data, but the most recent surveys I've seen suggest that somewhere over 80% of the Ukrainian population, you know, isn't willing to make concessions in order for the war to stop. It seems that there's this sense, as you both expressed, that you really want to win this war and have a decisive victory, because there's an understanding, or there's an idea that if there's some kind of compromise or, you know, partial ceasefire or treaty, then, you know, Russia's gonna come back, and this isn't going to be over. I'm just going to move. You can't see Maryna and Lyudmila, but we have a wonderful robot owl that is enabling you to see us. But I'm just going to move it to the table so that people who ask questions, it will be a little bit louder and a bit more visible, hopefully. Alyona, I think you were the next person with a question.
Yeah, thank you so much for talking to us today. I really admire your descriptions of your hard work. Something that I'm interested in is what's the last little story of success that encouraged you to go on with your work?
That's a great question.
Yes,
It doesn't
that's
have- It doesn't have to be huge, it can be very small, whatever comes to your mind.
it's a very good question, because not only from the war and shellings and sirens we got tired and burned out, but also with not seeing and not being able to, well, to touch the result of our work, because you know that reaching and restoring justice is a very long process when it is conducted properly. So many of many of our colleagues get demotivated with what they do, and that is why your question is important, and and I think that the answer is also important, because, well, success story is something that keeps us, like, you know, burned out and heal our capacities to move on. So talking about Truth Hounds, I would say that we had some, well, some successes story, starting from the full-scale invasion, which are, for instance, well, first of all, together with our international partners like Clooney Foundation for Justice and Trial International, we made submissions to the prosecutor's office, General Prosecutor's Office of Germany and Switzerland on, well, 5 big cases on shellings, on murdering people, on tortures as well, showing the perpetrators based on the common responsibility of those, and tracing them and showing all the details of the crimes that have been conducted. So this means only the beginning of this way, because now they have to investigate and then bring these cases to the court, and through the trial they have to make some arrest warrants, but still we just like opening these doors for universal jurisdiction, for international investigations, where we can reach the success and reach the verdicts much faster than we can do it in Ukraine, where it is overloaded with cases and sometimes have no proper law to bring these persons to justice. So I think that in this perspective we did kind of good job, and we at this stage we reached some results. And talking about Ukraine, I would say that based on what Truth Hounds has done, has investigated, we got, well, the prosecutor's office, but not we, brought the official indictment against 3 Russian commanders who claimed to give orders on shooting and killing people in Chernihiv Oblast when it was under occupation. So we did some research and used some tools of facial recognition, of audio recognition, and on tracing them in Russia. Actually, all of them are in Russia, but still we got this official indictment, which is the first stage to trial and to the court investigation, and then ended up with verdicting these people and recognizing them as war criminals. So this is something that we really are happy to be involved to and to reach.
It's great to see that you're seeing some of the fruits of your work already, because these are often, as you said, really long processes that take a long time and, you know, take time to go through trials and collect the data and verify it. So it's good to hear that you're being able to move some of these things forward already. Lyudmila, what about you? What are some success stories that you've seen in your work in your organization recently? Oh, I think you need to unmute yourself. Lyudmila, sorry.
I can bring you some story, some little story about little Joy when we had a little meeting for the children, and they end the event with the hugs, you know. And I think it was the great story about success, you know. And so my story is not very big, but I think it's great about kids who need a lot of help, and they bring joy to other people who work with them. Thank you.
When I was in Dnipro at your building in the summer, I think I saw some of the kids that were kind of going to or coming back from some of these like summer activities that you organized for them, and they seemed to be like so energized and like cheerful and like any other teenagers in their summer vacation, you know, who had like a great afternoon. So in some ways, maybe you're able to see kind of the immediate impact of your work in ways that Maryna's organization. Sorry, our sound's going weird. I hope you can hear us normally, because the owl is repeating back to us what I'm saying. Do we have any other questions in the room? I don't know what's going on. Anyone else want to ask a question? I have another one while you think. I encourage you to tune in. Sorry, I'm sorry. The faces I'm making are the weird sounds. That's not what anybody is doing or saying in the room. I'm interested to know what tools are important in your work. So you have mentioned social media a little bit, but I wondered how important this is in your kind of day-to-day organization, and also raising awareness of the work that you do. Perhaps you'd like to answer this first, Lyudmila.
So I can say that the biggest part of people who working with us know about us from the social media, and they help us donate to our organization. All about for the requests in the Instagram and the Facebook. So it's the biggest part of our work. It's my part of work, and I think it brings a lot of to our organization. And when we had a rocket attack in Dnipro in January, where was destroy the houses of a lot of people, we have a lot of organization and a lot of businesses and a lot of people who help us only from the social networks. A lot of people just speak about us, tell about us in the Twitter, in the X, and in the Facebook, Instagram. So that's why we have only a lot of work we just do about social networks from the first day of the war and till today. So we just have some requests, and some people come to us from the social networks, like our families of the fallen heroes, and not only about resources. It's all about people with whom we work.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. So it's important for you not only in kind of raising funds and getting the material,
I just can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. The sound is being weird. Sorry, I'm just going to mute us and then see if we can unmute, and it'll work.
I think actually that you can. Oh, some problems with me hearing myself.
Okay. Yeah, we're getting feedback as well. Can you hear us? Can you hear us again now? Okay, good. Great. Maryna, did you want to add anything to this question, talking about some of the tools that are important for for Truth Hounds?
Well, did you mean the tools, some specific tools we use in our investigation and documenting work, or maybe you meant something else?
I mean, you could get really specific. I don't know if that will be a little bit too niche for our audience, but I was wondering, you know, what some of the things are that you use that enable you to do your work. You talked about social media being a really important source of data and maybe almost giving you too much data. Are kind of social media tools and messenger, things like that, important in enabling the work of your team as well? Because presumably you're all over Ukraine and in the field at various times.
Well, I would say that, of course, social media is the basis of our search and research, and there are many like specific and very interesting engines and cross-platform search engines, which are of great help for us as an investigators. And also there are different sources of information where huge amounts of data is accumulated, like I don't know, different databases linked to internet and stuff like that. But I would say that I would like to emphasize on the challenges we meet is that the digital work and something that is in internet in the open access is changing, I don't know, every second. So we have to meet the challenges and to be able to work with it and to use it properly in our investigation and in our daily work. Now we see how artificial intelligence like becoming the common I don't know, the common practice and the common reality in internet and in open source. So we have to, yes, also to deal with this kind of reality, actually, not telling about deepfakes and other phenomena. And the big challenge for us is, of course, the Russian propaganda. I think that this is the underrated tool or even weapon of the hybrid war, and not all of people can deal with it and can distinguish truth from false, and that is something that Russians are very good in. So they really use this huge propaganda machine to deliver their messages, to make their position stronger, and to undermine our position and our situation and our support, to weak our our influence as well as the party of the conflict who's been attacked. So this is something I would ask to be very cautious about. All the messages coming from Russia or the Russia affiliated countries or anything has to be checked and double checked. And yes, and this has to be, go through the filters of double and triple checking. This is something we, as the people who understand what really is happening and where the truth is, have to be very, very cautious about and keep in mind.
Yeah, that must make your work so much harder in a lot of respects, having to deal with this falsified information and these false narratives and unverified images, and that seems to be getting, you know, more and more challenging over time. Do we have any other questions in the room or online? And yeah, of course, Elizabeth.
I'm very interested in the money situation. You mentioned that 51 people were working with you, Maryna, and how many of them are actually volunteers and how many are salaried? Where do you get your money from? Do you have to spend a lot of time applying for grants, which I know takes ages? You have to do it.
That is also a good question. We really had a big wave of volunteers applications to help, because many people wanted to help us and wanted to be involved into the documenting for crimes of Russians. But well, our approach and our principle is to give people money for their job and get them paid. So now among all of these 51 people, all of them receive their salary on a monthly basis, and they got the money. So where we as NGO get the money, this is a very like a common scheme. I would say we have donors and they are from Europe. I mean, most of them are also some international organizations or some state agencies like embassies of other countries, or the USAID fund, for instance, who support democracy and very human rights defenders efforts in many countries. And now they do support Ukrainians, of course. So we have fundings from our partners, from our donors, and it's not only like, you know, just giving us the huge amount of money and everyone's happy. No, this is the project funding, so we have to sustain some demands under some projects and gain some goals under the project activities. So everything is on this ordinary NGO funding basis, and of course we are under huge attention of our tax authorities. So, and we have to pay taxes, of course. So like no big secret, but we do have some fundings and we pay people money for their work. That is all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great to hear that you're able to pay people working in your organization, because a lot of people I have spoken to in my research, they start as volunteers and then they face these tensions of they want to be able to volunteer, and this work is really important to them, but as the war drags on, they need to support their families and pay their bills and things like that. They understand this isn't something that's over in a couple months, and you know, you have to live. What about you, Lyudmila? With your organization, I know you work with a number of different funders and organizations. Are you also quite reliant on like people volunteering within your organization, or do you have like permanent staff?
We have some workers who work with us with a salary. It may be 22 people, and a lot of volunteers, many hundreds of volunteers who work part-time. They help us, and we have donors too, and grant financial projects. We work with the projects, and for this project we have another salary. So for this time, yeah, we just find out that we need some money for our life, so we have to another request for this project. It's all about our donors. They want to help us not only for their families, and they want to help for the operation work of the foundation. It's all about foreign donors, and some of Ukrainian businesses want to help with it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's important that your overheads are covered, as well as, you know, when you have a growing organization, as well as the cost of your work itself. Have we got any other questions in the room? Yeah, Alice, go ahead.
I have a question about how the Ukrainian government has reacted to your work. Do you think that do you feel that the government has come to rely on organizations like yours to, say, for example, document war crimes, or do you think it's also expanding its own capacities and it's kind of a productive relationship?
Well, in our work, I would say that now we have the unprecedented support from, well, I wouldn't say this is the government, you know, but some actors from the state field, I would say. So now we, of course, the prosecutors and even the security service of Ukraine, which used to be, you know, very closed up organization, never revealing anything, never letting into anyone from the inner world. Now they're completely open, and they really invite us to help them, to support them, and also judges. You know, that judges are the clan of people who are like think they're very enlightened and kind of that no one can like teach them what to do and how to take their decision. Now they are also quite happy to have us as mentors, as trainers, and just to make everything well connected, effective, and working on a very structured and systematic basis. So yeah, I can really feel and talk about this openness in that we never met before, talking about the public sector and the activities of NGOs.
Yeah, that's very interesting because, you know, historically, Ukrainian civil society hasn't always had the best relationship with the security services and the judicial system. So it's, you know, interesting and positive to hear that this is changing. Lyudmila, what about you? Do you feel like the work that your organization does is kind of filling in the gaps of the government, or do you, you know, feel supported and recognized by the government, as Alice was asking?
Yeah, we work with the Ministry of Defense. We work with the city government, with the government of the country, and with the general staff. A lot of projects are working with some ministry states, like Minister of Social Works. We just taught 1,000 social workers in the Ukraine who work with the families of the fallen heroes, and we just try to working with all of government, and it's all good, I think. Thank you.
This is really interesting because what both of you are saying are what's happening now is you have, you know, civil society and NGOs actually building the capacity of actors within the government and helping, you know, people who work for the government strengthen their skills. That's very interesting. Have we got any more questions? I'll just check those if any for anything online. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, thank you for coming. It's been a really interesting conversation. I had a quick question about whether you guys believe that your gender has impacted your kind of experience with the organizational work you've done. So in other words, has it contributed to any challenges that you think are distinct to your gender?
That's a really interesting question.
I don't know. From my perspective, there used to be a gender balance in NGOs. It used to be, and we didn't feel any changes. I would say that among all these 51 employees and people in Truth Hounds, that 60% of them are women. But it also has its own reasons, because you know that many of people of Ukrainians has to evacuate from Ukraine, have had to leave their settlement, their homelands, rescuing themselves and their children. And because of this blocking and impossibility for men to leave Ukraine now, the most of these refugees were women and children, actually. So if we can witness or somehow experience this gender disbalance now in Ukraine, it is also caused by this reason that huge amount of women were forced to leave Ukraine, just saving their kids and their own lives and their families as well. So maybe this is the reason. But on the other hand, if you talk about some military angle of this situation, that we also witness that many and that the amount and the quantity of women on the military service has enlarged in many times because of this, I would say very healthy and civilized attitude and big changes that our society went through in respect of women being involved in everything and be that valuable part of decision makers and of people who change something that men used to be.
Lyudmila, would you like to comment on this question or add anything?
Yeah, I can say that in our community we have gender disbalance only in work that men don't ask about help. It's all about husbands, it's all about fathers of the fallen heroes, and they don't come to us and say that need some psychologist or they don't need some help. So that's why we have some request for it. It's about fathers who had military loss, and the most of them are military too. They are now in the defense, and that's why a lot of gender requests is all about that. A lot of men are on the war, and it's like problem about this and about that men said that they don't need help. The psychologist and other.
So men are less willing to come forward and ask for this help, and a lot of the work that you do is supporting within women who are.
Yeah, a lot of maybe 95% is about women. Yeah.
That's really interesting. Do we have any more questions before I bring us to an end? Well, that's about the time that we have, so that's great that we're coming towards a natural end. I'm aware that it's very late in the places where you are, so I don't want to keep you too much longer. If I could just ask if people would like to learn more about your organization or maybe support it, where can they look to if you want to share where we can find you online, your website or your social media, this kind of thing? Please go ahead.
If you want to subscribe some information, you need to invite our site, taps.org.ua, and I just can bring some presentation for Emma, and she will share.
Okay, great. So your website is taps.org.ua, yeah?
Taps.org.ua, yeah.
Okay. Great, and yeah, if you send information, I'll also share it around, but I just want to make sure people who are online or maybe will watch this later have that information. And how about you, Maryna, if people would, great. You...
Yeah, instead of many words like this, you can visit our website, and there are some links to our Facebook and Instagram and other social media pages, and also there is a donate button if you're willing or want to donate something to support our work. And basically, yes, it's in English, so you can easily navigate there and learn more if you're interested.
Okay, great. Yeah, I can see truth-hounds.org.uk. Oh, sorry, just .org/en. Well, thank you so much, both of you, for making the time to share with us this evening. We really, I think I speak on behalf of everybody when I say we really appreciate it. It's really valuable for us to hear from you directly and hear about your experiences. We wish you all the best, and take care, stay safe, and good night. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your interest and for your participation. It was great to have this late night meeting, but still it was really good experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Bye bye.